Okay, so we might get started. So welcome again. My name is Paul from Easy Payslip, and this webinar is to help everyone get on board with single touch payroll, payslips, and everything to do with payroll for the new year. So what I'll do is take you through what I consider to be the easiest way to understand what your requirements are as an employer or a small business owner, and to show you the easiest way that you can do that using Easy Payslip, and also answer just general questions about payslips, payroll, and single touch payroll. So here's what we're going to cover. So I'll just give you a very brief introduction about who we are at Easy Payslip, in case you're not aware. We'll talk about what STP is, so that's single touch payroll. So we'll just do a little bit of the concepts first. I'll try not to bore you. Hopefully I won't send you to sleep, but just a few basic concepts that will make it easier to understand when we're actually using the software. And then for the most part, I'll be doing a demonstration, actually showing you how Easy Payslip works using our website and also our mobile phone app. And then we'll talk about help and support, so making sure you got all the help and support you need to get up and running if you choose to use Easy Payslip. And also at the end, I'll tell you how you can get an extra 2 months free. I've just noticed that's out of order, 343, so that should be number 5 at the end. So to get the most out of this webinar, first thing I've got a few polls set up just to try and make it slightly more interactive as opposed to me just talking at everyone out there for an hour or so. So I'll put a few polls up, which you'll see through the Zoom call to find out what you're interested in and also what you know. So we might just actually try one now to see if we can get this working. So we'll do a poll now. Let me just define the right poll. Okay, so the first poll is just, can everyone hear me or not? So if you can hear me, can you please, you should see a poll on your screen. I can see lots of people are answering it. Okay, we've got, well, firstly, thanks for everyone for answering. We've got one participant there who can't hear me. Everyone else can. Unfortunately, that most likely means if you can't hear me, it's probably something to do with your audio settings. So it might be that your speaker on your computer or your mobile phone's not turned up. One suggestion I can make, if you can't fiddle with the audio settings, you could try just going out of the meeting and then just clicking on the link again and rejoining. That might help. Unfortunately, I can't help sort of individuals with your individual settings on your computer or phone. But you can rest assured, if you don't manage to solve the problem, this is being recorded, and we will send a link to the recording to all participants. Okay, so that's how polls work. It's a good little introduction to polls. There's also a Q&A function. So you will see in the Zoom settings, it will be a bit different depending on whether you're on your phone or a laptop or computer, but you should see a little Q&A button. So you are able, anytime a question or you think of something, you can just click on the Q&A button and type a question, and at various points, I will just go and check, and if it's appropriate, I'll answer those questions. If it's not appropriate, it's just perhaps something that's a bit complicated or not relevant to the whole group, I will definitely answer it at some point, just maybe not when I see it, or maybe at the end, we can directly engage that person or send out an email to them. So feel free to just pop your questions there at any time, and I'll do my best to get to them. Okay, and yeah, as I mentioned, you can always email us questions if you think of them later. I'll show you how to find our contact details. And as I said, stick around to the end and I'll show you how to get an extra 60 days free. Okay, so I'll just tell you very briefly about Easy Payslip. We were started by a Sydney accountant, actually an old friend of mine, who basically his clientele was just full of very small businesses. And they were always struggling with their payslips. He was giving them an Excel sort of template to do payslips to work out the tax. And he could not find an easy, cheap solution that he could give to his small business clients just to make payroll simple. And so he ended up getting together with some technology friends and building Easy Payslip. And the sole purpose of Easy Payslip is just to make life as easy as possible for small business and just make payroll, payslips as hassle and as easy as possible. So our motto is you should be able to do your payroll anytime, anywhere, anyway. So I don't know about all the people on this call, but many of our customers that they run small businesses which don't have dedicated admin staff. So a lot of our customers sort of do their administration when they're after dinner at home, on the weekend, after hours, those sorts of things, not when they're necessarily sitting at a desk in front of the computer. So we believe you should be able to do it however you want, on your phone, on a tablet, on our website. And that's how we've designed Easy Payslip, just to try and make it as simple as possible for the modern day business owner. And we do know, no matter how easy we make the system, everything is difficult when you do it for the first time, and every business is unique. So we know that, for example, what I'm going to cover today might not cover your unique circumstances. So there's always a place for customer support to help you with specific things, or if you're not sure about something. And we believe very strongly in customer support. We have a Sydney-based team that answer the phone, that respond to your emails very quickly. If it's very busy, like just in the last couple of days it's been with a new financial year, sometimes it might you might have to leave a voicemail message, but we get back to you always within the hour, like super quickly. If you can't get through, you can also send us an email. But generally, we answer the phone immediately. We respond to emails within usually about half an hour or an hour. So we believe very strongly with customer service, and that you don't have to be a tech expert. We don't expect our customers to be, Mr. Google or Mr. Facebook, someone who is really comfortable with technology. Everything obviously moves very fast in the modern age, so we are quite happy to help you through at your pace, whether it's a complicated payroll question or something simple about just trying to reset your password. We strongly believe in sort of working with our customers hand in hand to achieve what we're trying to achieve, which is nice and simple payroll and STP. And there's plenty of help available online. Okay, so I think that's enough about us. So we'll get into the body of the webinar, just talking about payroll, payslips, STP. So just a first question that will help me when I'm presenting this webinar. I would like to know why you are here. So I'm going to put a poll up in a moment. I can get my poll working. Just bear with me a moment. Okay, so I've put a few questions up to say while you're here. You can tick more than one if you like, but it'd be really useful to know for me to understand what brought you to this webinar in the first place. Okay, I'll just give you another few seconds. Okay, 80% of you have responded, so thank you for participating. Ooh, 86%. Just so everyone's aware, so most people in this webinar, 62%, are here to learn about STP and payslips. A few people at 30% have done STP and payroll before but would like some more information. And we've got one person who's not sure why they're here, but may be required to do payroll and STP. So hopefully through the course of the next few minutes, we'll help you understand whether or not it's something that you're required to do. Okay. So next question is, do you know what STP is? So I'll just put another poll up for this. Okay, thanks again for being so prompt with your answers. So it looks like most of you have an understanding of what STP is, but now need to start doing it. Since the ATO is cracking down, and we'll talk about in just a sec. We've got a couple who are already doing it successfully, so that's good, and a couple of others who are not too sure how it affects their business. So we'll cover all of that. Thank you again for all answering. Okay, so big question is, what is STP? So I can tell you it stands for Single Touch Payroll, and this is how it works. So if you are an employer, You all have a responsibility, obviously, to pay your staff at various intervals. So that could be weekly, it could be fortnightly, or it could be monthly, it could be pre-monthly in very specific circumstances. So the first thing you need to do is process your payroll. So that is generate payslips that say how much you are paying your staff. So a way of calculating how much you give to them, how much tax is withheld, that kind of thing, how much super you owe them. So that's the first step, processing payroll. Second step is actually physically paying your staff, which is obviously super important in this process. And then STP is all about when you do those two steps. So when you generate a payroll, you say, okay, it's payday, I need to pay my staff this much. What we do at the same time is we send a report to the ATO with those details. So each payday, you generate payslips and you send a report to the ATO electronically that says who your employees are and how much you paid them. So how much their gross wages were, how much tax you withheld, and how much super you are going to pay them. So the STP step, it doesn't actually pay your staff. You still have to do that yourself. It doesn't pay the super. Again, you have to do that. It is just a reporting mechanism. So it just reports to the ATO the details of your payroll. So each payday, you're reporting to them who you paid, how much you paid them, how much super, and how much tax. And that's basically all there is to it. So it's just a way of electronically reporting to the ATO each fortnight or each week, every time you pay your staff, what the details of that pay was. So the way it works is you need to use some STP compliant payroll software such as Easy Payslip. And when you create payslips, the STP file is automatically created for you. So it doesn't actually make your life more complicated necessarily. Just by creating the payslips, the single touch payroll is automatically created for you. And then it's just a couple of clicks to actually send that off to the ATO. So it's not like you need to stick something in an envelope and send it to the ATO. It's not like you need to manually work out a different set of figures. It's worked out just on the payslips that you create. The file is automatically created, and with a couple of taps or clicks, it's automatically sent to the Australian Tax Office. The other thing worth pointing out, since we're at the end of the financial year now, it actually simplifies some things. So in the past, you may have had to give your staff group certificates, or I think they were called payment summaries, where at the end of every year, you write out how much they've earned, how much tax you've withheld, etc. That's not required anymore. Because you're sending in these single touch payroll files every time you run payroll, the government has that information, and it makes that information available to your employees through their MyGov accounts. So instead of getting a payment summary, they just need to log on to their MyGov accounts and they will see those details. And that's all facilitated because of STP. So the law was brought in a year ago, so a year ago yesterday. You may have received some letters from the ATO asking you to get on board, or you may have been hassled by your accountant or your bookkeeper. The ATO was sending out those letters, was telling people to be compliant, but they basically gave everyone a year before getting too serious. What they've said to us, though, is from July 2020, it's been a year since the law's been in effect, and now they are getting serious. So they have threatened to start sending out fines to companies who are not compliant. So this isn't to scare you, but from what we understand, the ATO is basically saying you've had a year to get on board. If you do have employees and you're paying them, you need to get yourself set up with an STP solution. I definitely don't want to scare everyone, just to tell you sort of what the message is from the ATO, and hopefully you'll realise through the course of this webinar that it's really not too difficult to be compliant. So if you're not sure what you're doing, you're thinking, what's the easiest way? Where do I start? If you've got an Easy Payslip account, the first step is just set up an account. Either download our app, go to the website, set up a username and password, and just answer the questions. It will ask you what your business name is. It will ask you what your ABN is. It'll ask you the name of your employees. Work your way through that. It doesn't matter if you get lost halfway. Once you've gone through that onboarding process, you are in a really good spot. You might not be comfortable with the system yet. You've got your basic information in there. Once you've done that, you can think about everything in 4 easy steps. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm just going to show you these 4 easy steps And then when you get stuck, hopefully you can identify which of those 4 easy steps you're in, and that will make it really easy to fix any problems you've got or to get in contact with us so we can help you. So I'm going to talk about those 4 easy steps now. So the first step is employer details. So that's just a simple screen with information about your business, what your ABN is, what your name as the employer is, what the address is of the business. And that's basically all there is to employee details, and that is step 1. Step 2 is employee details. So that is entering data about each of your employees, such as who they are, what their email address is, how much they get paid, how often they get paid, whether you pay them, for example, weekly or fortnightly or monthly, what their tax file number is. So some basic information about your employees. And then once you've done that, you basically only have to do those 2 steps once. And then step 3 is creating payslips. And once you get the hang of it, creating payslips only takes about a minute. And then when you create payslips, once you've done that, the last step is to send the STP file. So what I'm going to do now, I'll show you in Easy Payslip just those 4 different steps in the system. So we'll do the demonstrations now. I'll jump into Easy Payslip. So I'll show you about those 4 easy steps, all the way through to creating payslips and sending STP files. I'll also show you how it looks on our mobile app. And then at the end, if we've got time and you're still interested, we'll look at some reports and some settings and subscriptions. So I'm just going to switch to Easy Payslip now. So what I'm going to show you, you can basically access Easy Payslip from our website using a PC or a Mac, on a laptop or a desktop, or you can access on a mobile phone app using an Android phone or an Apple phone. I'm going to do this first demonstration using our website, just because the screen's a bit bigger, so it will be a bit easier to explain. But once you have an account, you can access it any way you want. So you can get set up on the website, and then the next week you can log on using our app and all your data will be there. So it's all hosted in the cloud and you can mix and match. One day you can do what you need to from our website. Next day you can jump on the app. So a lot of users start off on the website and get set up, and then they end up using the apps because they find it really simple. And we've got customers who tell us they sort of do their payroll when they're at home, watching the football, that kind of thing. But it's up to you how you access the system. So I'll start off using our website, and then I'll do a bit of a demo on the phone as well afterwards. So we talked about 4 easy steps. So the first step was your employer information. So information about your business. So I've set up this business here. It's a hairdresser called Loose Ends. So you can see that first menu item is Loose Ends. So that is step 1, information about your business. Step 2 is the next menu, information about your employees. Step 3 is the next bit where you actually create the payslips. So that's in the payroll menu. And then step 4 is single touch payroll, where you send that information to the ATO. So those 4 steps are nicely laid out in our menus. Just the first 4 menus are those 4 easy steps. So I've just clicked on this first menu here, Loose Ends, which is the name of my business. And you can see here, I put my ABN in and it's returned the entity name. It's just my name there. It's also allowed me to put in the trading name, which is the name of my business, Loose Ends. It asks for my business address. It asks for the STP authorized person. So this is the person who's going to be lodging STP files. So that can be you as the business owner. It might be a person that you work with. It could be your partner. It could be your mum. It could be your accountant or your bookkeeper. But whoever generally submits the STP files for you, that's whose name you should put in there. You can always come back and update this information if your situation changes. And then lastly, your employer details. So often that will be the same as the STP contact person. So if you're the business owner and you do the payroll, you'd have your name as the contact details and also your name as the STP authorized person. And that's all there is to step 1. And that is information about you as the business owner, your employer details. Next step is employees. I'll click on the employees menu on the left. And you can see here, I've got 3 employees set up. So each one of these is an employee, Buzzcut, Fred Locks, and Mohawk. I can add another one if I want an additional employee. But what I'll do now, I'll just show you this first employee. So I can click anywhere along this row and it will take me into the details of this employee. So the employee information is in 4 or 5 sections. So the first section is personal details. So who they are, what their name is, date of birth. Their email address is important because that's where their payslip will be emailed when you create their payslip. And it's got their address details as well. So that's their personal details. The next bit is their payroll information. So this is where you can give them a job title and select permanent or temporary, and you can put their employment start date. Now, if you don't know their employment start date, you can put this just to the start of the financial year, such as the 1st of July. We also choose their employment status, such as full-time, part-time, or casual. We can choose to pay them either by salary or hourly. So in this example, this person gets a salary. So they've got an annual salary here of $50,000. And then we put in how often do they get paid? So pay frequency. So it can be weekly, fortnightly, or monthly. And then we put how many hours in the period. So typically, a standard working week in Australia is 38 hours. I've overwritten that with 40. But for example, if I choose fortnightly, it tells them there's normally 76 hours in a fortnight. But again, you could make that 80 or you could make that something else. But I'll just go back to weekly and I'll make it 38. Now, a really important thing to remember, when we enter these salary details and the hours in the period, this is the default setting. This is what will be proposed when we create the payslip, but we can always overwrite it on the payslip. So we put in the employee record what we think the most common scenario is, that they get paid weekly, that it's 38 hours a week with an annual salary of $50,000. When we come to do their payslip, we can say this week they only work 30 hours, or we can say this week actually they got paid more for whatever reason. So we can always amend that when we're actually creating their payslips. So it's not worth getting too confused about if you're not sure how many hours they work or they work different hours every week. Put a number in there, put the standard number in there, and when you create the payslip, you can amend it each time. And then we have these payslip options. So you can turn these on and off. By turning them on, it means when you create the payslip, it will give you these options on the payslip. So now, because I've turned on overtime and allowances, when I create a payslip for this employee, it will give me the opportunity to enter overtime and allowances. I don't have to, but it will just give me that option on the payslip. If I turn them off, then I won't even see that option. So it's just a way, by turning them off, I can simplify the payslip screen. It means I won't even see these options. If I turn them on, I don't have to fill them out. I don't have to pay them overtime or allowances every week. It just means each time I create a payslip, I will see that option. So I'll just leave them off for this employee. I'll just save that. And then next we come down to entitlements. So you can use Easy Payslip to maintain leave, your leave balances for your employees. If you turn it on, it says, what was your starting balance? So this is the starting number of hours when you started leaving when you started using Easy Payslip. And then it will keep adding to that balance as your employee works, and it will subtract from that balance when they take a day's leave. But I'll just turn it off for that employee. So we'll just turn off leave for this employee. We'll make this one nice and simple. And then we come down to taxes. So we enter their tax file number. We say, are they a resident or a non-resident, and whether they receive the tax-free threshold or not. In theory, this information should come from their tax file declaration form, which employees should fill out. And then lastly, we have the superannuation section. So the only important field here is this 9.5%, and that's a mandatory field, and that defaults for you. You do not need to enter Superfund or Superfund ABN or any of this other information. When we send the STP information to the ATO, we only send the super amount, the amount of super. We don't say who the fund is, what their ABN is. So if you put the fund name in, it will print on the employee's payslip, which might be useful for the employee, but it's only for information purposes. So it's not necessary to fill in all that information. And that's it for the employee record. So that was Buzzcut, and I'm just going to go into Fred Locks now, and I'll just show you a couple of differences. So this is another employee we've got here, Fred Locks. The personal details is the same. For payroll details, notice I've turned on all these payslip options. So we should see, when we create the payslip, we will see all these additional options on the payslip. And I've also turned on entitlements. So I've turned on annual leave pay and personal leave pay. So we'll get that option on the payslip too. And the rest of it looks exactly the same. So we can finish that. So that is step number 2. And they are basically, that completes the basic setup. You set up your employer details, your business information, and then you set up your employees. And then step 3 is actually creating your payslip. So we click on payroll. The first thing we do is we enter our payroll dates. So I pay my employees, in this example, I pay them weekly. So I can go to the start date. Let's say I'm paying ahead of time. So let's say the start date is the 5th. And the finish date of the week is the 11th. So they get Sunday to Saturday. So that's my pay period from the 5th of July to the 11th of July. And the payment, so that's the actual days they're working and then that they're getting paid for. And then the payment date is the date you're actually going to pay them. So I'm going to put that on the 11th of July as well. The last day of the pay period is when I'll actually pay them. So we enter the dates and then we select the employees. Now you can click select all and it will select all of them. So if everyone in your business works the same days, works the same weeks, if everyone gets paid weekly with the same start, end, and payment dates, then you should process them all together because it's easier that way. For this example, I'll just select 2 employees, Buzzcut and Fred Locks. And then we click process payroll. So this takes me into the screen where I create the payslips. So you can see up here, it tells me that there are 2 employees in this payslip, Buzzcut and Fred Locks, and Buzzcut is highlighted in blue. So that's the one I'm looking at now, it's Buzzcut here. So it's taken this information, this rate and these hours from the employee record, but I can overtype them here. So let's just say he actually worked 40 hours this week. And let's say there was nothing else that went on this week. It was just a standard week where he worked 40 hours. There was no overtime, no deductions, no allowances, nothing like that. That's all I have to do on this screen. So I check the hours, check the rate, and then I click on preview payslip. And before it sends the payslip to the employee or saves it, it shows me what the payslip looks like. So that's my company name. It's got the pay period, the payment date, shows me the gross amount and the net amount. So here I can see that they worked 40 hours at this rate, at that amount, and it's calculated $187 of tax. And it's also calculated $96.15 super. Now, if I pick up a mistake here, so just remember, we haven't actually sent the payslip yet. It's just a payslip preview. So let's say, actually, that's a mistake. He only works 38-hour weeks, not 40 hours. So we can discard, takes us back to this screen, and we can change it to 38 hours. And then again, we preview the payslip. And now that's been updated to 38 hours. So if I'm happy with that payslip now, I click Save and Send. And that will send the payslip to the employee. It will send a copy to me as the employer. And in the background, it will create the STP file. So that's gone off. Comes back to the process payroll screen. Notice Buzzcut now has a tick. So I immediately know Buzzcut's been done. We've sent that payslip, and now we're on to the second one, which is Fred Locks. So again, this information was brought from the employee record, but again, we could overwrite it. So let's say in this example, let's say that Fred Locks had a sick day. So there's one day when he wasn't there. So instead of working 38 normal hours, he worked 7.6 hours a day. So let's say he only worked 31.4 hours. Then what we can do, if we scroll down to the bottom, we have a bit here that says entitlements. So personal leave and annual leave hours taken. So let's just say he took a day's annual leave. So we can put he had 1 day's annual leave, which is 7.6 hours. So what we've said, we've reduced his normal hours by 7.6, and we put 7.6 hours of annual leave. So I'll just show you that again. We reduce his standard hours, and we enter those hours as annual leave, or it could be personal leave or long service leave. The other thing we can do, if you remember for this employee, we turned on all those options such as overtime, allowances, deductions. So that's why you see all these options on the payslip. Now, I do not have to use these options. I can just leave them blank. But if I want to, I can say, actually, this employee also worked some additional hours on a Saturday at a different rate. So we can add, for example, an additional base rate. So we click on add additional base rate. We choose the first one and we give it a name. So let's say Saturday rates, we can call it. And let's say they get paid, say $55 an hour on Saturday and they did 3 hours. So we give it a name, Saturday rates. We say what the rate is and the number of hours and we click save. And you can see now it's added this additional base rate. Saturday rates, 3 hours. And there's the rate and the total. Now I could add another one for Sunday rates. I could also add a per job unit rate. So instead of getting paid per hour, you might have a staff that get paid per haircut or per lawns mowed or sheep sheared. So again, we just click on add. We click the first one. Let's just say this is per haircut. So let's say they get paid $25 a haircut and they did 7 haircuts. And so we've just added that row there. Now we can change the amounts here, or if we're not happy with it, we can just hit the delete button. So all these extra options, overtime, allowances, they all work in the same way. You just click on the plus and then you can add those details. Same with bonuses, commissions, director's fees. Now, once you're happy with the payslip again, you click on preview payslip. And again, before anything is saved, it shows you what the payslip looks like. So here we can see they did 31.4 normal hours. They did 3 hours on Saturday. They also got paid for 7 haircuts because they get paid per haircut at $25 a haircut. And they also took 1 day's annual leave. So that's the annual leave pay there. And then again, it calculates the tax. Because we've turned on annual leave for this employee and personal leave, Easy Payslip tracks their balance. So what this has done, it said on this payslip, they've accrued an additional 3.23 hours, calculates that automatically. And it shows you their carrying balance. So their total leave balance is 30 hours. And what it's done, it's actually subtracted that 7.6 hours that they took this week. So it's a running total of their balance and shows the employee how much leave they are owed. And then lastly, it shows the super. So again, if I picked up a mistake here when I'm previewing the payslip, it's not too late to change it. I can click discard, I can change something and then preview the payslip again. But if I'm happy with the payslip, then I can save and send. And that completes step 3. So now we've done the employer information, we've set up the employee details, and we've created the payslips in Payroll. So because that was the last payslip, I selected 2 employees and now we've sent 2 payslips. The system automatically puts me onto the single touch payroll menu. So notice we're in this part of the screen that says outstanding and it says to be lodged, click file to send. So because we've created those 2 payslips, Easy Payslip has automatically created this STP file for us. All we have to do now is send it to the ATO. So to do that, we click on it, we click anywhere on this row, and it comes up with a little summary. So it gives me a final chance to check the details. So it tells me the pay period, it tells me the payment date, and it tells me which employees are included. So they're the employees I did the payslips for. And if I'm happy with those details, I can click Lodge STP file. Comes up with a declaration where I type my name just to say that the information is correct. And I click on Lodge. And so what that's doing, it's automatically sending that data to the ATO. and it gives me a confirmation saying it's sent. And then notice if I click on the outstanding screen now, there's nothing there. So it means there's no outstanding single touch payroll files because I've just sent it. If I look at the completed screen, we have a heading here, pending ATO response. So that is the file I just sent. It's been sent to the ATO, but we're waiting for an electronic message to come back from the ATO systems to say it's been lodged. So when that message comes back, and it usually takes 2 or 3 minutes, this file will automatically move to complete in this completed heading. But just for the next few minutes, it will stay in this pending ATO response. And so they are the 4 basic steps. Now, as I said, the first 2 steps, setting up your business and setting up your employees, you only have to do once. And then each week or each fortnight when you run payslips, you just do the last 2 steps. So you go to payroll and you run your payslips. And then when you've completed your payslips, you go to single touch payroll and send the file. And that is all there is to it. Now, no one's asked any questions, which is either a good sign or a bad sign. If you do have any questions, can I just say you should see in your controls either near the top or the bottom of your screen, a little button that says Q&A. So you feel free to just type the question there, and then I will look at those questions and do my best to answer it. So what I might do, since if you've never seen this before, I'm just going to run one more payslip just so you can see how it works again. So I go back to payroll. I put in my from and my to dates. So let's do the next week now. So let's do from the 12th of July to the 18th. And we'll make the payment date the 18th. So on the first screen, we just put the dates in and we select the employees. So I will just choose Buzzcut this time. We click process payroll. And I can amend the hours or the rate if I want. But if it's just a standard week, then I can leave them. I can add an additional base rate. You can see I can't add overtime or deductions or allowances for this employee because I didn't turn them on in the employee record. So I could go back to employees and turn them on, and then I'd see those options here. But because this worker never works overtime or has deductions or allowances, I turn them off. So it makes this screen nice and simple. So once I'm in that screen, I just check the hours and the amounts and I click preview payslip. It shows me what the payslip looks like. The gross wage, the net pay, the rate, calculates the tax and super. Tax is there, here's super. And if I'm happy, I save and send. And what that will do, it automatically sends me through to STP, to single touch payroll. And now we've got a new file in outstanding because I just created that payslip. It's saying here is a file to be lodged. So to lodge it, I click on it. I check the details. So this pay run just had that 1 employee buzz cut. Looks fine. So I click lodge STP file and I can type my name in and then lodge. And that again is going to send it through to the ATO. And now you can see we've got 2 files in pending. So when we come back in a few minutes, hopefully they will be moved to complete. Now I can see that there are some questions that people have asked. So I'm just going to go through them. So firstly, I'm very grateful for treating this interactively so I can get some feedback. So let's see. Leonie's asked a question, can you set up more than 1 employer or do you need to have another subscription? So that's a good question. So you need to have a separate subscription for each company. So for each business with an ABN is a separate account. Now, what you can do if you're a bookkeeper or an accountant or you look after multiple businesses, you still have to have a separate account set up for each, but you can access them all from one dashboard. So we have what's called a secondary access dashboard where an accountant can see all the accounts they're linked to. And I'll show you how to do that just in a moment. So if you do set up an account, if you go to settings, there's a bit here that says additional user access, manage additional users. If you click on that, I've already invited my accountant. That's why it says Johnny Accountant there, but you can invite someone else. So if you go add user and you put in your bookkeeper or your accountant's email address and send it to them, they will be sent an invitation to access that account, and they can set up a dashboard that will allow them to get access. So if, so in answer to the question, you do need a separate account per ABN, but if you manage multiple accounts, just send us an email and I can show you how to get set up with an accountant's dashboard. Another question, how to change employer details. So I'll just show you that. So that first menu item is our employer details. So if you are changing the business address, we just go into this menu item and change it. So I can change that number. Let's say I move next door and now I'm 13. We can change the STP authorized person. We can change the phone number and the name. You can also change the trading name. So if I click on this pencil, it lets me change the trading name here. So I can change it to Best Haircuts, for example. What I can't do is change the ABN. So if you want to change the ABN, you just have to get in contact with us and we can change that for you. But what I can do, you can see there, I've just changed the trading name to Best Haircut. So again, the first menu item, that's where you get your employer details. And then we click finish. Just have a look at the other questions. Okay, so if you have no employees, do you have to be registered with ATO for STP? So that's a very good question. Generally, it's for businesses with employees. If you are paying yourself as the business owner, if you're a company set up and you're paying yourself like director's fees or wages, then you need to set yourself up as an employee. If you're a sole trader and you are the only person, then you are considered to be the entity. So you don't need to submit through STP at this stage, although the ATO each year does change the rules to include more and more people. Another question is, how do we enter sick leave? So I'll just show you that again on a payslip. So I'll just do another payslip. So I'll do it for Fred Locks. So firstly, I'll say, I'll go to the employee record. Let's have a look at Fred Locks. And we can see here, for this employee, we have turned on entitlements. So we've turned on annual leave and personal leave. Now, personal leave is sick leave now. It used to be called sick leave, and there was also carers leave and a few other types of leave. They've all been combined into personal leave. So the first thing you need to do is turn it on in the employee record, which we've done. Then when we do the payslip, so I'll just do the payslip for the next week for Fred Locks for that employee. So we choose the dates, payment date. I'll choose Fred Locks this time and process payroll. So now you can see here, because I'm doing another payslip for the same employee, it remembers the additional items such as the Saturday rates, the per job units that I added from the previous payslip. So if they're always doing these extra hours, it remembers them on the next payslip, but you can easily just delete them just by hitting that little trash can. So towards the bottom of the screen, we've got the entitlement section. So one box says annual leave hours taken. Another box says personal leave hours taken. So if this person has taken 1 day sick leave, that's considered to be personal leave. So if 7.6 is a normal day's leave, you enter 7.6 hours there. And then you have to remember to reduce their normal hours by 7.6. So that means their normal hours become 31.4. And that's all there is to it. So we reduce their normal hours worked, and we enter those hours into the personal leave hours taken. And then same thing again, we preview the payslip. And you can see here they've worked 31.4 hours and it's got 7.6 hours of personal leave pay. And again, if we're happy with that, we save and send. And it takes us to the STP screen and we can send that file, just as we sent the other ones. Okay, there's quite a few questions, so just bear with me a moment. From Anthony, is it okay to start doing STP from this financial year? So yes, as far as the ATO is concerned, the law was brought in a year ago. They've been threatening people, but they haven't sent out any fines yet. So if you start doing payslips now from July, you'll get a very nice letter from the ATO saying, thank you, we've received your first STP file. And I don't think they'll start hassling you about not doing it for the last year. So the idea is the ATO basically decided they would give people a year to adjust. That year is over, so now is the time with financial year 21. So the system is ready to go. So you can start doing your first payslips in July. I also had a question, after I send out the payslip, can we still do amendments? So that's a very good question. So I'll answer that in just a moment. So Sana also asked the question, if I make an error after I send to the ATO, can I adjust it? So the good thing about the way STP works is the ATO only holds one record for each employee. So when you send it, let's just say you do payslips today, you send the STP file. Let's say I'm the boss and I pay my employee $1,000. So in the STP file, I send it today and it goes to the ATO, and they now have a record that my employees received $1,000. When I do another payslip next week for $1,000, I then send them another STP file. But that STP file contains the year-to-date value. So that STP file says $2,000 because it contains all the payslip information that you've done in that financial year. So when you send a new STP file, it overwrites the data that the ATO has held. So the ATO only has one record for each employee. Every time you send an STP file, it overwrites that with whatever information is in the new STP file. So if you send a payslip for $1,000 and then you realize that was a mistake and it should have only been 800, for example, you've made some mistake. If you delete the payslip and then redo the payslip correctly, it will then generate a new STP file for you. When you send that new STP file, it will overwrite the previous one. So it's really important to remember, every time you send an STP file, it contains the latest year-to-date values from Easy Payslip. The payslip, and then you can redo it. So we do that by going to reports. So there are a number of different reports here. The one we're interested in is the payslips report. So I click on the payslips report. Now it's searching for the payment dates. So I've done some payslips in July. So I can put in the specific dates, but if I just leave it from the 1st of July to the 31st of July, it'll show me any payslips that have a payment date in July. And I'll select those two employees, Buzzcut and Fred Locks, and then process report. So here's the 4 payslips I've done today. So 2 for each employee. If I click on these 3 little dots here, it lets me view the payslip. So I click on that and it shows me the payslip. Just close that. It also gives me the option to delete the payslip. But notice if I go to the set, it doesn't give me the option to delete. So you can only delete the most recent payslip. So I can delete this payslip. And now, because I've deleted that one, STP file. And when I send that new STP file, it will overwrite what's in the previous STP files. So I hope that answers your question. I'm just going to do a couple more questions and then I'll move on. So Leonie's asking, do you need to have a MyGov ID to lodge? No, you don't actually need to register through a MyGov ID. The way Easy Payslip works, when you submit your first STP file, it automatically registers for you. And the one other thing I'm going to show is we've got a couple of questions about JobKeeper. So I'm just going to I'll do one more payslip for Fred Locks. I'll just go to the next week. and I'll process that. Oops, sorry, I'm still in reports. So I'll go back to payroll. I'll put in new dates for the next week. So we'll say from the 19th to the 25th, and we'll say payment date 25th. So let's say Fred Locks has been receiving the JobKeeper allowance. So we process payroll. So if they're earning more than $750 a fortnight, then we just have to submit their pay slip as normal. If they are earning less than $750 per fortnight, so let's just say they earn, say, $30 an hour, and they're only doing five hours a fortnight. So they're a week. So they're only earning 150. Then you need to do what's called a JobKeeper top-up. So we need to make a top-up for the difference between the 150 and the 750. So that's $600 we've got to do a top-up for. So we do that using allowances. So we add a taxable allowance. We select manual entry, and we type in the text JobKeeper top-up, quantity of 1, and the amount, what was it, 600. So what we need to do, we need to make sure their gross wage is at least 750 a fortnight. So we put this allowance in for 600, and we've got their normal wage of 150, and that equals 750. And then again, we do the normal, we go and preview the payslip. And you'll see here, they've got 150 is their normal wage. And then we've got a JobKeeper top-up for $600. So that equals 750. And we send that, and then we go on and we send the STP file. Now, it's a good time. Now, JobKeeper is, the ATO did create quite a convoluted process that includes a number of steps. Many of those steps happen through the ATO business portal outside of a system like Easy Payslip. It's a good opportunity to show our website. We do have a big support section around JobKeeper. So this is where at easypayslip.com. If I click on support, there is a whole section here on JobKeeper. And if you click on that, it shows you exactly that step I just did. So step 4 here, ensure you pay at least $1,500 per fortnight and lodge STP files. Once you're registered for JobKeeper, that's what you have to do. You just have to make sure you're paying at least $1,500 a fortnight or $750 a week. And if you're short that amount, then you have to do a top up. And this help file shows you exactly how to do all of that. And we've got screens for the app or screens for our website that show you exactly how to do that. And we've also, while we're at it, I'll just show you the other help. We've got help on creating and managing pay slips, updating employer information, running reports for year end, adding employee details. We've got quite a comprehensive help section. Now, there are a few other questions, but unfortunately, I'm not going to get to them right now, just because I know everyone's been really patient. So just bear with me a moment. What I'll do now is just give you a very quick demo if I can. Oh, here we go. Success. So this is, I've got my iPhone plugged into my phone here. This is how it looks on the iPhone. So it's basically exactly the same. So this is the employee icon and this is the employee details. And I can click on an employee, takes me into their details. Instead of having all the details vertically listed, we've got these different sections across the top. So their payroll details, their entitlements, their taxes, and their super. And it's exactly the same information. And then this second icon down the bottom is when we do payroll. So I'll just show you quickly how to do a payslip. Almost exactly the same. We choose some dates. So let's make it, this one will make 20th to 26th. Payment date will make 26th. And let's choose Buzzcut again, and we click process payroll. So the screen's the same. So here's the base hours and rates. We can click in there and update those amounts, or we can click in there and update the hours. We can still add additional base rates and hours. And if we're happy with that, if it's a simple payslip, we click on preview payslip. And then again, it shows me the payslip. Now it's a bit smaller, obviously, when you're on your mobile phone, but you can zoom in and take a closer look. And then when we're happy with that, we click Save and Send. And it takes me to the STP screen. And now I've got that STP file to send. So I'll show you how to send it. We just tap on it. Exactly the same. It gives me that summary. I click on the Process Single Touch Payroll. I type my name in. And then we click Lodge STP file. And that goes off and it will show me the completed screen now. So notice now that new file I sent is now in completed, is now in pending, and the ones I sent earlier today are now in complete. So let me just jump back to the slides. I think I'm just about out of time. So I just want to tell you just a couple of other things. We'll skip the poll. Actually, let's just have that quick poll. So what is your preferred way to access Easy Payslip? Is it on a website or is it through an iPhone or an Android app? So I'll just get that poll up. Okay, so most of you websites, what I would suggest, once you're familiar with it on the website, if you are out and about and you're not sitting in an office all day, it's a good idea just to download the app. It's free from the App Store or the Play Store. You log in with the same details and all your data would be there, and you can have a go doing it on your mobile phone. Okay, so thank you for sharing that info with me. So just want to make sure, look, the important thing is have a go. If you have any problems, there's plenty of help on the website, as I've just shown you. We're always available via email or phone. And also, look, we don't replace your bookkeeper, your accountant, or your HR specialist, but we do our best to provide advice about your pay slips and how you're paying your employees. So you're welcome to start with us, and we'll do our best to help you. Now, the one thing I haven't shown you is subscriptions. So we have a free offer where if you sign up by next Friday, so that's the 10th of July, you can enter this voucher code, which is Easy STP 2021, and you'll get an extra 60 days free. So I'll just show you how to do that. Just before I show you that, very important, you can only take advantage of the free offer by signing up on the website or an Android phone. So if you are an iPhone user, you just need to jump onto the website, just jump onto a PC or Mac, log into your account from our website and take out the subscription, and then you'll still be able to access from your iPhone. It's just you can't actually take out the initial subscription on your iPhone. So I'll show you how to do that now. So I'll go back to Easy Payslip. So we have this subscription menu here. So I'll click on that. You can see it shows me that I'm on my free trial. Everyone gets a 30-day free trial. And then you click on this change or cancel. And this is where you take out the subscription. So the normal rate is it's $8.80 a month, and that's for up to 4 employees. So normally you would just purchase now and you put in your card details for payment, and it will just charge you $8.80 each month, and you can cancel at any time. However, because we have a voucher code, if you type in that voucher code here, which is Easy STP 2021, and click OK, it changes these values to 0 for 2 months. And then you still have to go through and activate the subscription. So you click on Purchase Now, you put in your card details. This is just a test system, by the way. This isn't a real card. 0423. And you click on Pay, and it is not going to charge your card anything when you put it in, and it won't for another 60 days. But it does activate your subscription. So that's what you need to do by Friday next week. So it activates your subscription. As I said, you're not going to be charged for 60 days. At any time, if you just want to trial us and get the extra 2 months as a free trial, take out a subscription anytime before that 60 days is up, or even after. Go into change or cancel. You can just click that cancel at any time and it will stop charging you immediately. So just to reiterate, you come to the subscription screen, click on change cancel, enter the voucher code, and then these buttons will say purchase, and click on purchase, and you need to put your payment card details in, but it won't charge you for 2 months, and you can cancel any time before that 2 months is up. Okay, so I'm just gonna, unfortunately, as I said, I can't get to all you guys. I'm just gonna check if there's any particularly relevant questions to everyone. So just bear with me one moment. I think I've answered most of them. There are a couple about JobKeeper. If you have specific questions about JobKeeper, then definitely get in contact with us. So I'll show you on our website. We've got all our help, but under the contact section, you will find our phone number and our email address, and you can even just fill in a contact form here, and that goes straight through to our email, and we can get back in contact with you. I think that answers most of the questions. Question, do we get a receipt for the subscription? You don't actually get one, so thanks Darren for the question. You don't actually get one automatically, but we can provide them for you. So just get in contact with us, and we can either send you an invoice for a whole year's worth of subscriptions, if that's easier, if you're just doing your tax, or we can send them to you each month. It's actually easier. We're happy to give you for a whole year at a time, in advance or in arrears. So just write to us at info@easypayslip.com once you've taken out a subscription, and we can provide you that. Okay, so that is just about everything from me. Firstly, one question. If you could just give me some feedback about how you found this webinar, that'd be really useful. We do try and do these regularly to keep everyone informed and updated. So if you can give me some insight into how you found it, that's actually really useful. So I'll just put that poll up. Okay, so look, thank you again for providing that feedback. That's all actually really positive. So I am grateful for that feedback. As I said, any questions at all that weren't covered here, or if you want some additional clarification, then definitely get in contact with us. And lastly, we do appreciate this is a very challenging time for a lot of small businesses with COVID, with everything, with JobKeeper, with stuff with STP. If we can help you in any way, definitely let us know. So look, if you just need an extra bit of help getting your account set up, don't be shy to get in contact. If you're really struggling for a particular month and you basically can't afford to pay your subscription, again, let us know. We're happy to do our best to help you out. Or you just need help understanding how STP works. Or even if your free trial's expired and you never really had a play around, you want an extra week just to have a play around to make sure it's suitable for your business, then again, just ask us the question, send us an email or give us a call, and we'll respond to you as quickly as we can. We'll try and help you out. But otherwise, best of luck with the new financial year for everyone. I hope you enjoy the webinar, and we may be in contact soon. I may see some of your support calls or be in contact. So thank you again for attending.